What would you do if you saw the impossible with your own eyes? That's the question billionaire Richard Hale was forced to face one quiet afternoon. Because when he stepped into his mansion garden, he froze. His son, the boy who had been paralyzed for over a year, was laughing, clapping, moving, as though joy itself had finally broken through the chains of despair. But here's the shocker. Across from him wasn't a doctor, or a therapist, or some miracle cure. It was a girl, barefoot, ragged, no home, no family, a girl who had wandered in from nowhere, dancing with all the life the world had tried to beat out of her. And together, the paralyzed boy and the hopeless girl created a miracle that money could never buy. Before we go deeper, take a moment, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss stories like this. And drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from, and what time it is right now where you are. We love seeing our global family gather here. Now, let's begin. The Hale estate was the kind of place you only saw in magazines. Sprawling lawns trimmed with diamond precision, marble floors polished like mirrors, chandeliers that dripped crystals like rain. To the world, it was a palace, but inside, it was a tomb of silence. Ethan Hale, just 14, had once been the fire of the family, a boy with restless legs and a wild grin, racing down soccer fields, chasing dreams too big for his frame. His laughter had been the music of the house, until the accident, the crash that tore through steel and glass, the crash that took his mother's life, the crash that left Ethan broken, paralyzed from the waist down. Since that day, the house had changed. The laughter vanished. The boy who had soared on the field now sat bound to a chair, staring at walls that felt like prison bars. Richard Hale, his father, had poured his billions into solutions. The best clinics, the most expensive machines, specialists flown in from across the world. Yet nothing healed his boy's spirit. What good was an empire if it couldn't buy back his son's smile? It was an ordinary afternoon. The sun stretched lazily across the garden, spilling gold across the fountain. Richard stepped outside, phone in hand, his mind buried in figures, meetings, endless deals. Then he heard it. Laughter. Pure and restrained. Ethan's laughter. He looked up and froze. Ethan's chair spun wildly in circles, his small hands clapping offbeat, his face lit up in pure joy. And across from him was a girl, barefoot, hair wild and curly. Her faded yellow dress danced in the wind as her thin arms carved shapes in the air. She was twirling, leaping, bowing low, spinning fast. Every movement was a burst of freedom. Richard's throat tightened. He hadn't heard that sound, his son's real laughter, since before the accident. "Who are you?" Richard's voice cracked like thunder across the garden. The girl froze mid-step. Her chest rose and fell with fear. "I didn't mean, don't." Ethan's voice boomed louder than his father's. His chair jolted forward. "Don't send her away, Dad. She's my friend." Richard blinked. His son never raised his voice anymore, never begged for anything. But now his eyes blazed with urgency. The girl lowered her gaze. "My name is Eliza. I just saw him looking so sad. I thought maybe, if I danced, it would help," and it had. Richard's gaze dropped to Ethan's legs. For the first time in months, they twitched, tiny movements, but real. His chest tightened. Was this the beginning of something? The next day, she came back. And the next. Every afternoon, Eliza danced. And every afternoon, Ethan grew lighter, brighter. His laughter echoed across the garden. His hands wheeled his chair faster, spinning in rhythm to her dance. His legs began to tremble, faint sparks of life flickering where there had only been stillness. Richard watched from the window, a storm of emotions inside him. He didn't understand it, but he couldn't deny it. One evening, Richard found Eliza sitting alone on the mansion steps. The sun dipped low, painting her curls in molten gold. "Where do you go when you leave here?" he asked gently. She hesitated, then whispered, "Sometimes the bridge, sometimes the laundromat. If nobody kicks me out." His jaw tightened. "You're homeless." She shrugged. "My mom's gone. My dad drinks. He told me I was a burden. Told me to leave. For a moment, Richard couldn't breathe. This child, this broken little soul, had given his boy what the world's finest doctors couldn't. He looked at her, voice thick. From now on you don't sleep under bridges. You'll stay here. You'll eat here. You'll have school and a home. You gave my son his laughter back. The least I can do is give you safety. Her lips trembled. But I don't belong here. You do now, he said firmly. But not everyone agreed. At a gala weeks later, whispers coiled through the hall like smoke. Who is she? She doesn't belong in this circle. A stray in golden silk. Eliza stood in a gown Richard had bought her, but she felt their eyes like knives. That night, she whispered to Ethan, maybe I should go. Maybe I don't fit in your world. Ethan grabbed her hand. Don't ever say that. You're the reason I live again. You're my best friend, Eliza. Her tears glistened, but she nodded. On Ethan's birthday, the mansion was alive. Musicians filled the hall, guests glittered like jewels. But Ethan sat stiff in his chair, watching dancers twirl across the polished floor. Eliza leaned down, her golden gown brushing the marble. Do you want to try? He shook his head, fear in his voice. I'll fall. They'll laugh. Her eyes glowed with quiet fire. Then fall. And rise again. Show them you're stronger than they think. Richard's heart thundered as Ethan's hands gripped the armrests. His body shook violently. Every eye turned. Gasps whispered through the room. And then slowly, painfully, Ethan rose. One trembling step. Then another. The hall erupted in cries of disbelief. Ethan's legs were holding him. Eliza steadied him. And together they moved, awkward, shaky, but real. A boy who had been paralyzed was dancing, guided by a girl who had nothing. Richard's tears fell freely. Son, you're back. That night, as music faded and the hall emptied, Richard pulled them close. His voice broke. I thought I'd lost you, Ethan, but Eliza, you gave me my son again. You gave me hope. He turned to her, eyes wet. From this day, you are my daughter, not by blood, but by heart. If you'll let me call you that. Eliza's sobs broke free as she flung her arms around him. I'd never had a family, but if you'll have me, then yes. Ethan grinned through tears. Finally, a sister who can dance me back to life. The mansion that once echoed with silence now rang with laughter. It was no longer a house. It was a home, and in that home, hope had learned to dance again. If this story touched you, don't forget subscribe. Share this with someone who needs a little hope. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it right now?